Welcome, everybody, to episode 22. And it looks a little different in here.
I was supposed to do that. Look how lovely the new set.
Wow.
I mean, it's very cozy.
Yeah.
You know, he gave me a pillow in case I feel like I'm looking a little plump on camera. So I can put this pillow in front of me.
That's right. I don't have a pillow in case that happens to me.
You're young.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm young. I'm beautiful.
So, yeah, this is just really...
Yeah.
Got a little plant going on over
I know.
here.
We bought this lamp up here from Aldi. So
we need sponsors. We need sponsors. The plant is from
Walmart. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, as you can see, we have no scripted opening.
No.
But I will say that this set, son, makes me feel less agitated, maybe less angry.
Less angry than 12 Angry Men.
Yes. Ironically, that's the movie we're doing.
Yeah,
this
whoa.
week.
And then I take out a knife and I stick it against the shelf.
We've tried to find a switchblade, but we thought, somebody's gonna
Yeah.
protest out there.
My wife, Kylie, won't let me have knives. Okay. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome, everybody.
12 Angry Men. So this one was recommended. I don't want to name them, but I had a few people were like, "Hey,
Right.
I watched this, and I want you to." Not that they weren't like, "Please do this," but it was like, "It'd be really cool if you guys could watch this." And so we just finished watching all of your movies for February, which was super fun. Really cool picks. Loved them. But I'm glad it's over. And so, no, I'm kidding. No. But so the plan was originally for March, we were going to do, so we did February favorites, and then we were going to do March my favorites.
Is that what we decided? I thought there was something way more interesting than that.
I think
March my favorites?
I think I came up with that on my own. I don't think
just now.
Yeah.
But no, I thought there was something more clever that
I have no idea.
I had come up with.
Listen, if it's in an episode, you guys know, and we forgot.
Anyway.
So obviously there's 4 Sundays in February, and there's 5 Sundays in March.
Yes.
So I was thinking, originally I was like, oh, we'll watch 5 movies and I'll get to have an extra one. But I was like, let's take a break from those picks.
That's why you did that. Okay.
Yeah. Let's take a break from those picks and, like from our favorites, and do this one real quick so we can appease the fans.
And real quick, because it's 96 minutes long, this movie.
Yeah, actually, it is really quick. Yeah.
It's not your typical 2-hour movie. But, I mean, we do these podcasts together in kind of a package deal, and then we take some time off. And since we've had our little hiatus between the last filming, I've actually met flesh and blood people who watch this podcast and are
they exist.
Pause for astonishment. And have come up to me and said, "Hey, did you ever think about, And so, two people, flesh and blood. But I've had a lot of people message me and say, "Hey, did you ever think about watching this series?" Or and so I think it's good that we're doing that now.
Yeah.
We're kind of paying the viewers back for their loyalty.
Yeah, and we've had a few more comments on YouTube accusing us of being AI. So that's been really
true.
Cool. We're not real. But yeah, and we've talked about this before, but I would love to eventually do some kind of like fan pick month.
Yeah.
Or like,
one
some
a month
picks.
or something.
Yeah, something like that. That'd be so fun.
We have all kinds of ideas.
Yeah.
Just keep watching.
Yeah.
And you just never know.
And always feel free to comment whatever movies you want us to do.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. We'd love to have you guys be a part of this too, which would be really fun.
Absolutely.
But anyway, back to 12 Angry Men. Let's do this first.
Okay.
Spoiler warning. We have to say that in case we have any new viewers. We're going to talk about everything in the movie. So if you haven't watched it, stop watching now. Go back and watch it, and then come back here. We could talk about it with you. Let's go into some of the film background.
Okay.
Feel free to jump in. I'm just going to start. But
okay.
Yeah. So obviously an American courtroom drama released in 1957.
Yes.
Directed by Sidney Lumet.
Yes.
Or Lumet. I assumed it was Lumet.
I didn't check.
I assume
it's
Lumet.
I think it is Sidney Lumet.
Sidney Lumet. That sounds like something they'd say in the 50s.
Yeah.
Sidney Lumet.
Mm-hmm.
This is his feature film debut.
Gritty and hard hitting. Lumet.
Yeah, Lumet. His feature film debut, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then produced by Henry Fonda and Reginald Rose. And this is originally a 1954 teleplay written by Reginald Rose.
On Studio One, CBS had a series called Studio One. Were you going to say that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know
TV show called Studio One, and they showed a lot of plays that became movies. They showed a lot of classic, most of them were plays.
Okay.
Teleplays is what they call them.
I love that.
So, yeah.
But then it was something like Rose wanted to adapt his own script for a feature film, but they couldn't really find like a studio to put any money behind it because, it was just kind of like, I've heard of the term bottle episode with TV shows. This is like that, but a movie. It takes place in really one room.
Yes.
And I think a lot of studios were afraid that audiences wouldn't take to that. Right. And so Henry Fonda kind of took the risk to finance it himself.
Producer. Yep.
But like we said, entire film takes place in one room. 12 jurors decide the fate of really like a teenage defendant, like an 18-year-old
very
boy,
young,
essentially.
Right.
But yeah, we got. I have some of the cast here, some of like the main players. I could go over to. There's Franklin yelling outside the door.
Franklin's a fan.
Yeah, he's a fan. I could go on line.
Well, I will mention
Do you have
what
the cast written out.
Yeah. While you're looking for that, cinematography is not something I know much about or comment on, but I wanted to say that the cinematography in this case was by Boris Kaufman, and he is known for On the Waterfront, a movie we once did, and also a movie called Long Day's Journey into Night, and you can see, I don't know, again, I don't notice cinematography, I don't know anything about it, but now that I've watched this movie, I'm thinking, I see some similarities, just some of the shots and things.
Yeah.
I have not seen Long Day's Journey in the Night for a long time, into Night for a long time, so I'd have to look at that again. But I think the guys who are known for the cinematography in some of these movies, you see some of their nuances, or whatever. And that might be boring for me to mention that, but
no, it's cool. You can kind of like see the themes and
and they do kind of, some of them are known for widening a shot a certain way or making the shot look taller.
Yeah. Well, that's
that sort of thing. Yeah.
I was going to mention some fun facts.
Go for it. I like the fun facts.
Before that, the reception and like awards of
this. Yeah.
It's one of those that was critically acclaimed upon release. People kind of loved it immediately.
Yeah.
But
I think a lot of people knew about it already.
Yes.
Because of the teleplay.
Right.
And I think people were familiar, and it is also a play, as you might guess.
Right.
So,
3 Academy Award nominations, didn't win any, but that's still pretty impressive. So it's funny that you mentioned the cinematography because that's one of my fun facts. The camera, they did this to kind of add to the tension throughout the movie, but the camera they switch lenses. Oh my gosh, they changed lenses throughout the movie to gradually compress the space of the room to make it feel tighter, and they also slowly lower the camera throughout the whole film.
I read something. I wasn't. You explain it a lot better than what I read, so I'm glad to hear that.
It's the early scenes you can tell if you watch it back. Like the early scenes are shot slightly above eye level.
Yeah,
and then by the end, the camera's like below their eye line, which makes them feel like
moves.
They're, towering above you. Or something.
Okay. Yeah. I had those written down because I had seen some of those facts and I didn't quite understand. But I guess the focal length makes the room feel smaller, like it's closing in. Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't look into it that much. I just knew that they like some of our cinematography folks would understand what I meant by lens changes, but I didn't really look into it that much.
And then I had a note that the ceiling appears in the movie more as the tension rises. So all very
with like the camera lowering.
Yeah. Again, I mean, how many of you even noticed the cinematography? I mean, that kind of stuff is so important in the story and how you really evoke emotion from the audience.
Yeah.
So we should probably pay more attention to cinematography. That is my point in this.
Yeah. Well, we always, like you have experience in acting, so I feel like you know how to comment on acting and stuff. And then I love story and I love talking about that too. Yeah. So I think cinematography does unfortunately kind of take a back seat sometimes in our conversations.
Yeah.
But this was, this was so brilliant because it was like you could feel it happening without actually noticing it happening.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
But moving on to another one, the knife that Henry Fonda pulls out was real.
Yeah.
That and a lot of actors weren't told that Fonda was going to slam it down on the table like that when he takes out and he goes boom right there. So they had that like genuine
element
shock,
of surprise.
you know,
Yeah.
which is brilliant.
Right. Well, and we should mention before we get totally off cinematography, it was released in 1957, and that was when you're having all these widescreen in Technicolor, you know, and this was black and white.
Yeah.
And
I didn't think about that.
It really was a cousin to all of they were all in the kind of the same group, but a cousin, I shouldn't say that. But the late 50s, early 60s, those gritty dramas, we got to do them in black and white.
Yeah.
And it was part of that group.
Like HUD.
Yeah, exactly. And HUD, you know, was a little later, but at the time, people were going to the movies to see these widescreen shot in beautiful Technicolor spectacles, and this was not at all like that. Little more claustrophobic than
totally. Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's kind of like nowadays where you have movies that are almost entirely made in CGI, and I feel like that's kind of the norm, and it's like these huge, and so it's like so it's like today going to see something that's, you know,
this set is a little bit.
Yeah, we're a little cramped. It's making me angry. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's it was kind of like, you know, different in its time. Yeah, this right here kind of gets right in the way of your drink. Maybe we should.
It's really okay
for next time.
I'm just trying to be very, you know,
very cautious.
Like we live here and watch movies, or watch TV right here. You know, like that. So,
but the next thing I wanted to say with like fun facts, if you I feel like we're having a great cinematography conversation. Do you want to like say anything else about it? Or?
Nope.
Okay.
No. No.
Cool. This isn't usually where we have this conversation, but I love it. So, but I wanted to mention that. So this obviously got a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. You can go look that up. With a 90 for a critic score and then a 97 on the audience score. What's interesting is Henry Fonda never produced any other movies after this. So it's kind of it's very interesting. But I think it was his choice because I think he mentioned that the stress of producing convinced him to never do it again because he just didn't he was more of an actor, I think.
Well, and I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but you know, we talked about Charles Laughton, you know, never directed again because initially Night of the Hunter was not popular. This movie, I think Henry Fonda, being the master actor that he is or was, probably saw a good script, you know, or knew a good script when he saw one, or whatever I'm trying to say here. He recognized that this is a brilliant script, and so therefore, and they had the great cast. It was critically acclaimed, but it was not commercially. It was a commercial disappointment.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, any more little fun tidbits before we get into the analysis portion?
None.
Cool. Well, first impressions. Was this the first time you'd watched this?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you that I've seen snips of it in my film class. We were so close to each other. E.T. I've seen snips of it in my film class in college, but do I remember anything from college? Not much. So, goodbye.
Me neither, and it was only 6 years ago.
It was a blank part of my life.
This is the first time I've seen it. I feel bad. I'd never even heard of this before people had mentioned it to me. And I was like, oh, I don't even know what that is. I literally looked at I heard of it, and in my mind, I think I thought of movies like Hateful Eight and stuff like that. So I thought it was like a cowboy western. When I heard of it, and I was
it kind of has a title that you might hear in a western, though,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. You know, it sounds like a John Wayne film or something.
Yeah.
But obviously loved it. I love the. I think I'm really liking what you just mentioned, like in the late 50s and early 60s, all these like gritty dramas that they started making. I really love that style.
Yeah, just that switch from these polished movie stars that were under contract and had to look good and everything was, oh gosh, you know.
Yeah.
And now it's like everybody's sweating and, you know, they're dirty and, you know, they're mumbling a little bit.
Yeah, things are breaking down.
Yeah.
Society's breaking down.
Life's getting worse. And
everything sucks. but yeah, cool. All right. So getting into the story here, there's when I started watching this, I instantly started getting mad or angry.
Yeah.
And this is the movie poster, by the way, if you can see that.
Isn't it lovely?
Yeah. But you do always find really cool looking movie posters. I love these.
Yeah, thanks.
But because I always try to find these online and I can't, and I'm always like, where do you find these? So I think he has some secret database of cool movie posters.
I do not. No.
But anyway, so I started getting mad because in the courtroom, I feel like if I were a juror, I've never had the privilege to be one, but like I feel like I would.
Most people would say it's not a privilege,
right? Yeah, it kind of stinks.
Yeah.
But I feel like you are supposed to be objective. You're supposed to like take everything into consideration and understand. Okay, these are my biases. This is where I might be a little motive this way. And every dude in that room is like, well, he did it, obviously, right. and they're so like willing to just send like a kid, really, an 18-year-old kid.
And they sort of had the idea, or the attitude, oh, it's no big deal. I mean,
right.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I kind of
let's get this over with. Let's go home and watch the ball game.
Which is,
yeah.
and they're sentencing someone to death. A kid, right?
Yeah.
And so, I wanted to know how you initially felt when you saw them like start to deliberate, like at the beginning of the movie and such.
Well, I remember being in high school. And when I was a boy, we went and watched because our town is the county seat, so we went to the courthouse. Of course, got out of class, which we loved, and we watched jury selection process, which is interesting.
Very cool.
And it was I believe it was a case about a family suing a doctor there in town because there was also a hospital in town.
Okay.
And, the jury selection process, even when I was a kid watching it all, but it's just very interesting, the questioning that they do to prospective jurors to make sure that they're going to be impartial.
Yeah.
So therefore you think, or I thought, watching that process, well, gosh, they're so thorough about choosing these juries. But these guys, as soon as, and it's a movie.
Right.
But and so therefore they had to be this way for the script to work. But you wonder how many juries. I mean, and we've heard cases of innocent people being sent to jail, or
or the other way around.
We find out later, that someone's been sentenced to death, or I don't know. I'm sure there's some story like that.
There has to be, yeah.
But you asked me what my thoughts were about the jury.
Yeah, just like when they started to like deliberate, like in the.
I just don't think you're going to know what a jury thinks until you see them in that little.
Yeah.
In that deliberation, is that where the little deliberation room? Is that where they?
I don't know what that's called. I don't know what it's called, but that makes sense.
Deliberation. That word means.
Yeah, to like discuss it.
To discuss.
So,
yeah. Anyway, I just think you assume those gentlemen are. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to go by the book here. But yet, it's interesting to see what they talk about behind closed doors, what their attitudes are.
Yeah.
And you would hope that all of the processes in convicting someone or setting someone free are that thorough.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Right.
I bet they aren't. But
well, and you kind of have it in your head. I mean, I had to tell myself this is a movie, so it's exaggerated, of course.
Yeah.
But I do know that this is something I probably should have mentioned in the film background. But Reginald Rose, the guy who wrote it, is that his name?
Reginald Rose.
Yeah, that's right. He wrote this because he was selected to be a juror on a case, and he himself was in that room and talking with at that time other men because only men could be picked to be jurors.
Right.
And so you wonder if he of course stated that like this is great drama. There's potential for drama here that no one's really written about yet, and so that's why he wanted to make this. But you wonder if he also was in that room and kind of thought to himself, a lot of the points that we're making don't seem to be about the case. They seem to be about what we think about the world and how we think about things as people.
True.
And it's and it's hard to stay away from that. But I just remembered like every point they brought up, even when they start to say not guilty, it still seems like it comes from some sense of personal bias and without like the logical reason. Yeah. How much how much do you think, how much of their judgment lands on personal prejudice or like, emotive reasoning versus actual logical reasoning and the evidence laid before them?
Oh, I think it always starts with your personal experience.
Yeah.
I think always. You know, I mean, what this comes to mind, and I don't know, my mind goes off on these tangents, but you know, being a school teacher all those years and watching people come out of the community and run for school board, you had all these people, and I use the word ignorant, meaning they don't know what they're talking about.
Sure.
They're just ignorant of the facts.
Yeah.
It's not a slam.
It's not a,
There are a lot of ignorant people who ran for school board.
well, that's not a slander on their character.
Right.
You're just saying they don't know.
There were a lot of ignorant people who ran for school board over the years, and they ran because, and there were some really stupid people who ran too. I'm just going to tell you.
That was a slander on their
that
character.
was a total slam. But anyway, teachers out there are going, yeah. But they would run on a personal agenda.
Yeah,
They're gonna get something changed for their kid, you know. And
Yeah.
then, thankfully, some of them, after they got in there, would hear why something was done, or maybe they would listen to administrators or teachers, and then they would do the right thing.
Yeah.
So I think initially, when the same was with a jury, I think you go in and you start off with what you know personally.
Sure.
And
That makes sense.
And hopefully, with the deliberating and all that, you're going to look at both sides.
Yeah.
And be objective.
I think that's good.
You know, so.
Yeah. To that point, what's so interesting about this story is there's not really a clear, at least character-wise, there's not a clear protagonist and antagonist. No. And I almost pointed out, it's almost like their personal biases, I don't know how you pronounce that word.
Biases sound real fancy.
Biases.
But I don't think it's right.
I think you can say that, but I feel way too pretentious saying that. So I'm just going to say biases.
Wouldn't want to be pretentious.
But I know, never. But it's almost like their personal biases become the antagonist that they're fighting against.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Because,
think that would be good. That's about right.
And it's like Henry Fonda is kind of the first hero, right? Because he stands up, you know, and it's obviously very exaggerated from like a regular jury and how that would work, because you almost never convince one guy would never convince the rest of them.
Yeah.
But I want to know what you thought about that idea that their personal biases become the antagonist to you know what they're trying to fight against.
Not only outward, they don't only create outward conflict, but you can really see a lot of them dealing with inner conflict.
Yeah.
And their eyes are searching when they're thinking about things. I mean, is that kind of what you asked me?
Yeah, totally.
And something else that might be unrelated completely. But did you notice that when each of the jurors were given kind of their moment to talk a little bit, they are all seem so very different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the movie was probably cast with none of them they all look quite different from each other.
Yeah, sure.
They all try to have different voices. E.G. Marshall's very clipped and very proper. And then you've got like the European guy who's come over, an immigrant, and made something of himself in America. You know, they just all you have the elderly guy. Mm-hmm. They all have very different personalities. But it is interesting, back to what you just said, it is interesting to see the wheels start to turn, I guess, and their inner conflict. And it's very interesting when all of a sudden each of them starts to question where they're at personally.
Yeah. And
they start to think, hey, wait a minute, I didn't think about that. Maybe I need to re-examine myself, or, you know, I just think that's the interesting part of the movie, you know, and the play script.
Well, and that's interesting, because I have a point here. You mentioned how they're all different, and I think this was done purposefully, but because prejudice is a huge talking point in this film. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't actually ever see the kid who's being accused.
Briefly.
Right? Very briefly. Right.
Yeah.
And
they make him look very, you know, like a puppy dog type with the eyes and sort of not, I don't know. His face is kind of blank. You don't know if he's scared. You don't know what. He just looks very young.
That's right. Yeah.
You know?
I forgot about that. But they, you know, you have the whole thing about, there's so much I want to talk about. The whole thing about them, right? Like the one, I forget which juror it is, but he is obviously, you know, probably like a little xenophobic about like he's, you know, immigrants or whatever. But the thing is,
Well,
I
he's Hispanic, isn't he, or something to that?
I think it's left
You know,
vague purposefully.
Yeah.
But
Not even Hispanic. I think it's just the fact that he is from the slums.
yeah,
Because Jack Klugman's character talks about,
Well-
I'm from there.
and I think it's left purposely vague, his ethnicity, maybe his religion, maybe where he comes from. I think it's left vague
Yeah.
because of, you kind of think in your head, well, who's them? And then you kind of go, why am I automatically thinking of that person?
Well, true,
You know?
and I immediately said Hispanic, but I was trying to think of like who does he have that's terrible.
That sounds bad.
But Prejudice, there's a prejudice there immediately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, because the kid is darker hair and
Sure,
everything.
Yeah.
That's what I initially thought. Is he talking about that this is a Hispanic family or what?
Yeah.
But no, I think now that it occurs to me that it's just that this kid is from the slums, the tenements of the city.
But I think people in 1957, I think you would have had the idea that, okay, these are. I think that with all the racial prejudice and things
Mm-hmm.
that you had back then, tensions were really high in society with all that,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there was this narrative that and I want to say this word right, that cultural homogeny, which is like sameness,
Yes.
is a strength, right? But what's interesting is this movie flips that on its head, where you see 12 white guys, but they start to find their strength in their differences. They start to
interesting.
like understand everything better from their own personal experiences, which are wildly different from each other. And it's kind of working. It's like I think this movie is saying a statement of like, no, their strength is actually like they're able to reason better when they recognize their differences. Like their strength comes from that diversity instead of them all being the same.
Yeah, sure.
Because the more they deliberate, the more they talk about it, you kind of see those differences come out.
Right.
Sure. So that's interesting when you say like they're all wildly different. It's like that's true, they are.
Yeah.
I think it kind of speaks against that, and therefore goes against the one guy's argument when he's like, about them, they're always like this.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because. And that's how you know that prejudice is rooted in hate and not fact, because the stuff he's saying about them is something you hear about any ethnic group or racial group or whatever that people have prejudice against.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, well, you just don't like them. Because none of this is based in fact,
right?
And you just don't like them because of their skin color, because of where they're from, because of whatever. So I thought that was interesting.
Right.
But to that point, I guess what time are we at? Okay. To that point, I wanted to kind of talk about. You already talked about groupthink versus individuality, or did you want to say a little bit more?
I
about
mentioned that before the podcast started. But
Yeah. Do you want to kind of start on that? Because
Sure.
I think we can.
I mean,
play off that.
I just wrote that groupthink versus individual courage is one of the themes of the movie. And of course, you mentioned juror number 10 and his racist rant.
Yeah.
And that moment when the jurors completely reject that mentality, and they all kind of turn. They don't necessarily all turn their backs. They all do a little something different, but you can see in their body language they're turning away.
That was powerful.
Extremely powerful.
Yeah.
So
I actually wanted to talk to that point. I wrote down how this movie kind of shows that judgment and prejudice, not only does it hurt others, the people you're prejudiced against, it also pushes you away from people,
right?
In general.
Yeah.
And they literally, with that scene, I think they represent that physically, because he starts talking and they're all just like, we do not want to be anywhere near this.
Right.
And then that one guy, because he finally goes, right? And he goes, I think you should sit down and stop talking, or something like that, like right now.
Yeah.
But and it's because I wrote down, it's never rooted in fact. It's always rooted in, hatred from maybe some insecurity you have or something like that. And, it isolates you from community and connection, because you see it, he's pleading. He starts the rant with like, we know, right, guys? We know that they're like this. And then by the end, he's like pleading for someone to agree with him.
Yeah.
And it's because he says, "Listen to me," and he goes, "I have. Now sit down and don't open your mouth again." And I was like, "There you go." But
I have listened to you, right?
Yeah, but it's almost like his first time in his life that he realizes his own prejudice.
Right.
You know, it's so interesting.
Well, and there are so many times, going back to the groupthink, individual courage type thing. You know, the movie starts with you have one man standing alone, and at various points in the movie, I think many of them, when they're coming up with their own individual. Do you have some troubles?
Yeah, I have to. Okay, I think I'm gonna pause here. Hold that thought. I'm gonna pause. I'll edit through this. I need to plug this in. This is about to lose power. Sorry.
Okay. Should I just sit here?
Yeah. Keep that point in your head, and I'll just edit all this out. Where is that? It's over there. So glad that I'm better at editing now, but I can just do this. Okay.
You need some extension cords.
No, I can put it right here.
I mean, like for your lamp there, would you need an extension cord or a power strip or something?
I've got 2 power strips.
Do you?
I got one right here. That's what that sound was. It's like low power. Okay. Not bad.
Ta-da!
Should be good. Especially since I kept everything running, I should just be able to cut it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Be perfectly fine. Okay, sorry about that. All right.
So as I was saying,
sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah,
no.
go ahead.
I think the movie starts out with Henry Fonda's character standing alone, and standing up for. He's the only person who thinks the kid. I'm not sure if he's guilty or not. I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
And I think eventually most of the guys in the room have a moment when they feel that they're standing alone. Maybe
Sure.
not all of them, but pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
And they're like you said, there's sort of a pleading. Come on, don't you see what I'm? I think a lot of, I don't know that Henry Fonda is so urgent about it, but a lot of the guys, when they're trying to plead their case in the room, they're a little bit desperate to have just at least one person on their side.
Yeah, that's right. And it's Henry Fonda's character is actually like a case study in how to effectively change someone's mind, because he doesn't debate them really.
Mm-hmm.
Is what he does is he gives them each person that he feels he works on them one by one really. Mm-hmm. Each person that he feels has some kind of like, well, I don't know, maybe he is right. He kind of starts with them. He's not manipulating them, but like he doesn't try to debate with them and prove it. He just gives them a safe space to work it out in their own head. Yeah. Because he knows what the truth is, and he's just letting them one by one get to it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, what does that mean? Yeah. And so it's
kind of Benjamin Franklin method.
Yeah, exactly. Letting people work it out. You know.
Asking questions until you get what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you think that Henry Fonda's character did it on purpose? Did he set out to do that, or did it just come to him as everything kind of unfolded?
I don't know. That's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
There's a hair going by. Yeah. That's interesting to think about, because you could make that argument, because at the beginning of the movie he's like looking out the window very introspectively, and you're like, ooh, what's going on with this guy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it kind of sets him up to be the main dude. You know, but I thinking about it, I want to say that he knew in his heart or even in his head, that this kid was not guilty. Yeah. You know, and he just wanted to kind of play it the right way. Because I think if he would have stood up and been like, he's not guilty, I know for sure, that wouldn't have worked.
They wouldn't,
right.
Because
he just wanted to have them play it out, you know. And I think he knew that a kid's life was at stake, and that he needed to play it carefully. Yeah. I'd like to think that way.
I'm not sure that he thought the kid was guilty from the get-go. I want to think, I think.
Or not guilty, you mean?
Not guilty.
Yeah.
Or guilty, either one. I don't think he had a set. I think he was just more about like, if I have any doubt here, we need to talk about this. We need to talk, because he kept saying we need to talk, at the beginning.
I could see that just as well.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. Anyway. No, because they play it both ways. I think it's left a little ambiguous, which is really cool. Yeah. Last thing I wanted to talk about with the story and themes that are brought up as I was watching this, I wanted to talk about why it's called 12 Angry Men. And I think the director did this because it feels like tension, like angry. It's like, ooh, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to talk. Why do you think it became so heated? Why did? Because they're just disagreeing over this kid and the evidence. Why does disagreement cause so much like fury? Essentially, why do you think that happens?
I don't know. I mean, there's obviously a lot of inner turmoil.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them having to face themselves as far as their prejudices. When someone says, Henry Fonda says, I just think we need to talk about this. This is a kid's life that we're dealing with. And, I guess this movie, I would imagine people becoming lawyers would want to watch this movie. Maybe they show it in class. But
I think I read that they do show it in
do
law
they?
school. That's maybe at the beginning.
Because I saw somewhere that this is somewhat of a crash course in constitutional principles.
Yeah.
Especially in the area of reasonable doubt, because, this is not really any kind of crime drama at all. It's not about solving the crime. It's not about figuring out, did he really do it? It's really more about does a jury of normal, everyday people have the right to condemn someone to death without carefully looking at everything?
Yeah.
Careful examination of everything. So I think that aspect right there, when you start questioning yourself, I mean, initially, let's face it, when someone questions us, if we have an idea and someone says, why do you feel that way? You're immediately a little bit put off and defensive. It's just human nature.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these guys were met with themselves and like, well, how dare you question me? But wait a minute, maybe I should think about that.
Yeah.
That's sometimes hard to do, like to take a look at yourself and go, okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know that even makes a good case for why they're angry. Maybe the anger comes from their day-to-day lives where they're just angry at society, angry about, about what they're prejudiced against. They're angry about, we've got a lot of the same things going on in our society today that they had then when the movie was made.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are lots of reasons. I don't know that I would have picked this title for the movie.
Really? Okay.
I might have just because this play is done in more modern times and you can have women characters, but it's called 12 Angry Jurors.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like you said before the podcast.
I mean, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know that the word angry, but what would you call it?
Yeah.
Cross-examination.
Yeah,
what would you call it?
12 Angry Men is more like suspicious.
Yeah.
You're like, what's going on?
So I don't know I can't think of a better name, but you just wonder, well, what's the angry part about? They do get angry at each other at times.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And again, they're angry at society.
Yeah.
One guy is angry at those people.
One guy's angry at his kid.
Right. One guy is angry because they're talking about those people, and that's where he came from.
Right.
I'm sure the older guy that talks about being elderly with the one witness who came in with the ripped jacket, maybe he's angry at aging and how people don't pay attention to older folks. And so, I don't know.
They've all got their reasons.
We're unpacking it as we film here.
Yeah,
so.
but that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of, because I thought about that a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I guess the initial thing I thought, which I don't think this is right, but it's the initial thing I thought, was that anger is typically one of the only emotions that men are allowed to feel. And so
good point.
Well, and especially back then, I think nowadays we're a little more tolerant of men expressing their emotions because we realize that's healthy and it's better for all of us.
Yeah.
But like I think that a lot of times, even especially back then, men are only allowed to be angry or stoic. Even Henry Fonda's character, stoicism, right? And then there's anger, and because all of these men feel fear, sorrow, confusion, grief, embarrassment, but the only emotion expressed is anger. They express all those things through anger.
Right.
So I initially thought that, which I think is like part of it.
Yeah.
But I think the real reason is the reason the disagreement causes so much tension is because they're not actually debating the right way. They're debating like regular humans do, like you said, to your point.
Right.
But they're not going over the facts and considering every detail. They're judging based off of their innermost belief systems.
Right.
whether they know it or not. And
True.
so whenever someone disagrees with them, it's not like they're just saying, oh, here's a different point that I think they're really saying your beliefs are wrong, because they're not debating based off the evidence. They're debating based off of like what's in their heart. And so when someone says you're wrong, they're like, everything about you is wrong.
Yeah.
And so that's where the anger comes from. And I think it's kind of like a microcosm of, society in general. Really,
Definitely.
is how that's how discourse happens. Is
I would agree.
People associate their beliefs with who they are, and so when you disagree with something someone says, you're like they feel attacked, and it's almost like you can't have discourse.
Taking
anymore.
a stab at their character,
Exactly.
kind of. Yeah.
So I
agree.
I thought that was probably the take they're trying to go for.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna go into if you directed it from here, but do you have any more like story stuff you wanted to talk about before we move on?
Nope.
Cool.
Nope.
Well, if you directed it, what would you do?
Well, now that I've paid so much attention to the cinematography, I noticed, if you've acted on stage very much, again, I've just done community theater, but
He's really
community
good.
theater is important. But
You've actually been nominated several times.
Oh yes,
won awards.
Let's not talk about that. But anyway, I don't want to be too, actors have to pretend to be really humble and self-deprecating.
He's not behind the scenes. No, I'm kidding.
I just wonder. I think I'd have if I directed this, I would have a. I'm not going to say fun. I think it would be interesting to mess with the blocking of how they move. Did you notice how some of them?
What do you mean by blocking? Yeah,
where you position yourself on the stage.
Oh, okay.
Did you notice how some of them somebody went and fiddled with the fan, and the fan itself is a whole different.
Yeah, sure.
There's more to it.
Yeah.
But somebody go over in the corner and get a cigarette out, or just the way they move around on stage. I just think it would be interesting to experiment with that as you got more comfortable with the play.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was the same with filming the movie.
Okay. Like you'd have them do a little more with the environment. Is what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know. There's just so much good about Sidney. I want to say his name is Lumet.
Lumet?
I think it
is. That's like the fourth version of his name that we've said on this podcast.
we should do that one voice thing on there. How to pronounce?
Ooh.
You gonna do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to type with one hand.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, I'll go ahead and talk. There's not a whole lot I would add to it. I mean, I guess you could experiment with different sounds coming from the street outside. I like how they raise and lower the windows and the rain starts, but all that symbolism, again, the fan, the rain, all of that is part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some ambient courtroom noise, because are the spectators in the courtroom still waiting? I assume they are. What was that? I assume the people are still waiting around in the courtroom for the jury.
I think
to come
so.
back.
Well, no. I think they go on recess.
Okay.
And they just kind of talking.
But I mean, all he has to do is knock and get the switchblade.
American film director, is pronounced English pronunciation, Sidney
Lumet.
But this guy,
Sidney Lumet.
This guy is a.
Okay.
Also, we'll say Lumet.
So there you go.
Sorry, it took forever.
Overall,
That's really
it's
weird.
very hard to improve the precision and decisions that Sidney Lumet made for this movie.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd just fiddle with some things if I directed it. I wouldn't do a whole lot because, this is on the AFL greatest movies of all time list.
That's
so
right.
There's a reason for that.
Yep. I put, if you directed it, this is kind of a perfect film, right? It has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for a reason. I think some people might say, 12 Angry Jurors, you'd want to change the demographic. And I agree. I think it'd be cool to see, women put in there, maybe people of different ethnic groups, things like that, and their own. It'd be interesting to see personal bias from different points of view and how that works, because we all have biases. We can't get away from them, But I think there's a point to be made with 12 white men doing this, because it's the whole thing of, like I talked about, cultural hegemony and stuff.
Right. So many layers to the whole story, and the rain and the fan and the, walking over in the corner and throwing a gum wrapper away, and all of it, adds to it.
Yeah, but it's I think to my point again, I think the 12 white men, it's like a critique against like same cultures
Yep.
being superior,
Right.
because these men have such a hard time agreeing with each other.
Yeah.
And their diversity is actually what causes them to think clearly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so interesting.
Yep.
But
I really think that folks today could learn a lot from watching it. I mean, 'cause
Totally.
we're still having so much turmoil about, you know, the same kind of stuff.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
all,
we'll just- yeah,
that's
yeah,
all I'm
there's-
going to say there.
yeah. I think everybody knows what you mean. Yeah. But cool. Do you have? I wanted to move on to like acting and like the cast and stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Just some notes that you have.
Yeah. I
Go ahead.
I recognize most of the jurors. You know, from
I even did too. There's I wanted to bring this up.
Okay.
That juror number 1, Martin Balsam. I've seen him in. I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan. I love the Twilight
Definitely,
Zone. He's in
yeah.
a bunch of Twilight Zone
Yes.
episodes. I see him all the time in there. But actually, a few of these guys are in Twilight Zone episodes. But I just wanted to point that out. I instantly was like, I know that guy.
Yeah.
But
Well, and a lot of those guys appeared. They did a lot of television.
yes. Yeah.
You know, of course, Henry Fonda was eventually Oscar winning. He did not win an Oscar until he was a lot older, but he, you know, you'd have to read stories about Henry Fonda, but he was pretty no nonsense and at times distant, aloof, not aloof, distant. You know, kind of a crabby guy. Did not like watching himself on screen. Didn't watch his own films, but for this movie, he was nominated. That was nominated for Best Picture as producer. He did not get an acting nomination for this. But Henry Fonda is known a lot for moral authority type roles. He was in Grapes of Wrath. He played Abe Lincoln in a movie called The Young Mr. Lincoln.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
That's
he
cool.
did a lot of those.
He does
type.
seem like that type. He's
Yeah.
got that look to
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
That feel.
He is always pretty calm, always pretty restrained in his roles, and he plays it well. I don't know. He does not, you know, he didn't play this role as a real righteous person.
Yeah.
He just stood up and said, "I have some doubt."
Right. Yeah.
You know, I have some doubt. Lee J. Cobb, who we recognize him from On the Waterfront.
Yes.
Johnny
Friendly.
Right.
Right.
Yep. He was investigated during the Red Scare.
Really?
He testified during the House of Un-American Activities Committee.
Yeah. Yeah.
He testified at that time. He was known for some tough, you know, of course, in the Waterfront, he was totally tough.
Yeah.
And I'm not familiar with a lot of his work, but the times that I've seen him, he plays this.
Yeah.
But he is a lot of these guys honed their acting chops at the Actors Studio. The Actors Studio was just getting going.
Okay.
E.G. Marshall was part of that, who played juror number 4.
There you go.
But Lee J. Cobb's performance, I mean, really emotional powerhouse.
Yeah.
Of course, that breakdown scene at the end is devastating.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's so intense in his roles, in this especially. It's almost opera level, operatic.
Yeah. Totally.
Intensity.
His scenes
over the top.
Yeah.
You know.
His scenes were so interesting because he kind of makes you like not like him, but then toward the end he almost like pulls on your heartstrings.
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit.
you do. And he's one of those actors who flips it a lot of times. When you think you're going to cry, you laugh, and vice versa. That's a little thing that they do there, and that goes along with his intensity. I liked Joseph Sweeney, 75 years old when the filming went on. He struggled a lot with memorizing lines. He did. I mean, and Sidney Lumet shot around this and you can even notice in some of the shots they were individual shots. Let's get that again, and then they edited it in, know, like that.
Yeah.
But you know, still a very powerful part of the cast, of the plot. He just really, his gentleness, the way he's so observant, it occurs to me that you need somebody around when you're debating something or trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
You need somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's very perceptive. He has the perspective of an older person that the other guys don't have.
Okay.
I would imagine when he's talking about one of the witnesses, and he brings up the point, this guy has not felt important for a long time, that anybody even sees him. He's felt invisible, which is also something that we deal with in this day and age. And it's just important to have him as part of that.
That's cool.
I mentioned E.G. Marshall. Very clinical, logical, composed. I kind of think this movie, he'd been around, of course, but this movie might have typecast him a little bit, because you pretty much always see E.G. Marshall. He always plays the judge. He always plays the oldest lawyer in a law firm.
Very calculated.
Right. He plays the father of the he plays the father of the bride who comes from the right side of the tracks. That
yeah.
He always plays those, and he's very articulate.
Yeah.
His performance with this, I think he portrayed that intellectual conflict the best.
Yeah.
But E.G. Marshall, you mentioned Twilight Zone. He did a lot of TV as well. Ed Begley Sr., Ed Begley Jr. was on St. Elsewhere and has been in a lot of stuff. But Ed Begley Sr., he won an Academy Award for a movie called Sweet Bird of Youth with Geraldine Page and Paul Newman. Newman.
Okay.
And so, but he was in a lot of those types of roles where he just, I don't know,
was racist.
He's in a lot of those roles where I don't know how to say it. Anyway, when he does his monologue about the prejudice,
yeah.
It's just chilling.
Yeah.
And he has, his acting style lends itself well to that type of, so I don't know how I'm trying to label him as an actor, but
well, I think that's you make a good point there, because I've not acted much. Maybe as a kid I did a little bit with you, but like I think those roles are some of the hardest to play.
Right.
When you have to communicate like kind of like a deep-seated hatred and make people go, ooh, like that. It's kind of hard to get that reaction from an audience. And I think he does it really well.
Yeah. I may be a big sicko, but when I do, I love playing villains. And I played a villain not long ago. Yeah. And the audience booed me when I took my bow, and I was thrilled.
That's awesome.
Because
Bright Star?
Yeah, but it just
awesome.
Bright Star. Go see it, would you?
Yeah.
I wish you'd seen me in it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just kidding.
Sorry. Fun little. I gotta say this about Bright Star. In college, I played in the pit band for Bright Star years before your acting company in a like local. You guys did it, and so it was so cool being in the pit band and then being like, my dad's playing the villain in this. I have to go see it. So, and I think you did a great job. I think you did awesome.
For those of you who aren't familiar with Bright Star, and you can see you got this theater actor talking.
Look it
about
up.
Stuff. Look it up. I'm not going to tell you what. I'm not going to tell you why I'm a villain.
Don't spoil it either.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I will just say, just an aside, I am not a person who likes musicals. I loved Bright Star. Yeah. I thought it was awesome. Anyway,
it's just a real good mix of it's a lot of bluegrass. If you're not into bluegrass, you will be after you see it.
It's so good.
But
continue.
Anyway, back to it's okay. We got off on a tangent, and all you got to do with the theater actor is say, "Hey, well, you were so great in that role. Oh my gosh." But talking about Ed Begley, I think that I don't know that he's typecast, but his just whole persona lends itself well to that whole. Like if they give him some meaty something to say, like that monologue about prejudice or whatever it is, and I haven't seen him in a lot of things, so I'm sure he has other. Sweet Bird of Youth, I think I remember him. I haven't seen that in a long time, but he won the Academy Award for it. So, but I just think that you have certain types of guys who represent someone in society who, when they deliver something that's so chilling, like I keep going back to that word chilling, but it's just. so hard hitting what he's saying, and you're like, oh boy, like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he had a good time playing those parts.
Yeah, sure. It was kind of it's like you said, it's fun being the villain.
Yeah.
It's fun to be mean and stuff.
Yeah. People come up to you later and go, I hated your guts.
You. Yeah.
And,
well, that's the best because you're like, I did it well.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you hated me.
Yeah, I always love when I'm watching a movie and I go, that person's so annoying, and then in the back of my head I go, they're doing a great job.
Yeah,
because that's what they're supposed to do.
They're supposed to get that from you. Jack Klugman, of course, I love Jack Klugman. He was really later famous for the TV version of The Odd Couple, but he played that. Hey, I'm from the slums. So understated. Not really, even though you could tell he was angry, his angry was just subtly boiling underneath, right behind his eyes.
Well, and you could he plays that tension of because I feel like someone with that background would be embarrassed to admit it, right? Like it's and not that they should be, but I just think that's naturally, especially back then, when that's kind of a shameful thing to come from a poor background. And I think he plays that there's that quiet anger, but he's like. He's not really wanting to say this, but he feels like he should because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And it's, it was really powerful. Yeah.
You mentioned Martin Balsam in Twilight Zone. He was also in Psycho. He was Detective Arbogast. Yeah. And he fell down the stairs.
Yeah. And he's like, slowly. Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah. But I love Martin Balsam. I don't know what it is about him. He was later, for those of us who grew up in the 70s and 80s. He was later. He was old. He was later on Archie Bunker's Place, which is a spinoff of All in the Family, because Edith left, and so they.
I didn't know they did a spinoff of All in the Family.
Well, Archie here we go. We got off on theater. Now we're going to get off on All in the Family.
Right.
But
let's do it.
Anyway, All in the Family was so wonderful, and then Jean Stapleton, who played Edith, left. And they still had her on periodically, but the show became Archie Bunker's Place because Archie bought a bar. So then it was set in the bar. Once in a while, they still went back to the house, and Edith would be there. But then Edith eventually died. They killed her off, which was a very poignant show. But Martin Balsam was Archie's partner in the bar, which was very. I mean, Carol O'Connor, Archie Bunker was a great actor too. But Martin Balsam, he'd done all these fantastic, great things in the movies.
Yeah.
Not so much for Carol O'Connor, but Carol O'Connor was an excellent actor. Martin Balsam, then so you see him come and he plays this little TV role, you're
like, whoa.
But
why
whatever.
Are you doing this?
Yeah. But I don't know. I think that's all I had for acting.
Yeah.
I haven't talked. I talked about everybody.
Cool.
Jack Warden, I mean, he was in some things. Movie Heaven Can Wait. He's good.
Okay.
He was juror number 7.
I keep having to go back to it. Yeah, juror number 7. Yeah.
Juror number 7. And the other guys, and we're not even mentioning because of time, were great too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But cool. Let's go into kind of our closing stuff.
Okay.
What was your scene stealer? What's the thing that caught your eye?
Lee J. Cobb. That emotional collapse. Boom.
Huge.
Ed Begley's intensity was a scene stealer.
That was mine.
I'm always partial to old people as I creep toward old age.
Always.
Don't look now, but anyway. So Joseph Sweeney, anytime he spoke, I was like, the old guy.
Let him win.
Right.
Yeah. Did I already tell that joke on this podcast? It's like every time I watch a game show with an old person, it's like they should win.
I know.
They should win every time.
I know. Or a sweet lady.
Coming
up there who says something like, I'm here with my my breast cancer group. We're all survivors, and they wave
you're like,
out
they
there
should
and you're
win.
Like, let them win, like that.
The games are rigged anyway. Let them win.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ed Begley, that juror number 10. That was his speech specifically is what I remember from this movie. Walking away from it because it was delivered so well.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Lee J. Cobb just breaking down at the end. You're not You're not really expecting him to get that. I could see him going, okay. You know,
no, but he breaks down.
Yeah. It's because he's just holding that back about his son and everything.
Yeah. Right. So. Yeah.
Anyway,
cool. Casting swap. Do you have any ideas for other people in this movie, or?
Yeah, I mean, anytime I see Henry Fonda, I think, Gregory Peck could play that.
Yeah,
they both are. And I mentioned Gregory Peck. It's like, when will he mention Gregory Peck in the podcast? But
and then I always make a joke about he goes, "Hey boys, what about this?" And he pulls a mockingbird out of his pocket.
Have you ever thought about the bird?
You ever thought about the mockingbird?
Yeah. But I mean, Gregory Peck and you're gonna be like, are you gonna mention Gregory Peck? We're gonna be doing like a sci-fi movie from the '90s. You're gonna mention Gregory Peck, but Gregory Peck is one of my. How many times can I say his name in this podcast?
Yeah.
Gregory Peck.
He's one of your faves.
But he's very similar to Henry Fonda.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
They're not necessarily that. They're handsome, but they're not necessarily that movie star good looks. Which is how I would describe myself. And anyway, but no, I'm just kidding. But I get a kick out of those guys because I think really what it all boils down to is they're more real than a lot of those polished actors from the Technicolor age, you know, whatever. Yeah. Also thought about Rod Steiger. Rod Steiger, who played Marlon Brando's brother in On the Waterfront.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Of course, the casting in this movie is perfect. But what if Rod Steiger was in there? What if, now you would have some conflict, I think, with intensity because I think Rod Steiger he's another actor studio, and those guys just tend to eat the scenery, chew the scenery when they're in a scene.
Sure.
But I mean. Would I change the cast? No, because the cast is great, but it would be interesting to see the other guys. But,
totally.
And then I'd like to see maybe a modern day version of it there probably is a modern day version. I just didn't.
There's a version in the 90s that they did.
Okay.
And I don't think they've really updated it since then.
Yeah.
So it's
I'd just like to see. I'll have to look that up. And isn't that awful that we should know about all movies?
It would be cool to see like one done now because I think it was back then, and then they did one in the 90s. I know like James Gandolfini's in it from The Sopranos and stuff. And I don't know which part he plays, but in my head he plays Lee J. Cobb's part. I just feel like that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like anyway,
he probably does. Yeah.
But yeah, it would be cool to see like one done today with actors from like the current
actors. Yeah.
But
even a real good TV version of it.
Yeah.
Showing the play again, like they did sort of on the Studio One CBS, which it'd be great to have a Studio One program on TV.
Where you see theater plays.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, I think that like stuff like YouTube and things have like taken that over where it's like you can kind of go watch a theater play, but it doesn't have the same kind of like production.
No.
No. Some of them do, but for my casting swap, I didn't have any person in mind, but I thought I know I talked about how hey, there's kind of a point here that they're doing it with 12 white dudes. But like I think it would be interesting to do with a different demographic of the same person. Like what if you did it in a different country where the judicial system's different, or even in a country, because we have, in America we have like a certain set of just like shared values and stuff like that, even with different groups of people in America, which is great. But I think if you go to a different country, you're going to have a different like moral system almost. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see not only with a different judicial system, but just like a different sense of objective morality that they might have, different from some white dudes in America. Right. So it's like, how would they argue with that? How would they work in their judicial system? I think that'd be interesting. Yeah. But I'm very ignorant about a lot of different geographical judicial systems and such. But
did you also notice that before we get too far off of casting though, really the heat in the courtroom is a character.
Yes. Yeah. Because they get
the sweat gets
so sweaty.
Yeah. The sweat just is so gradual, and that you get to where you're like, I wish to God that fan would work.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you automatically, man. Yeah. They just do so many subtle things with all that they. Yeah. I forgot to mention this too. They I'm pretty sure this was shot in sequence, in the order of the story. Yeah. So it's even like. Done that way, so even the actors kind of felt the suspense building. With they didn't film intense scenes and then went back. It was.
Well, did we mention it? It was just shot in 19 days. It only took 19 days to film it, which is.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it took 19 days to film it.
Wow, interesting.
So they did it pretty quick. Yeah, cool. Yeah, but I don't know that. Just I failed to mention earlier. That the sweat. You know how it feels when you're hot. Like your mom, a lot of times in the summertime when a little rainstorm comes through and it cools off for a little bit, she opens the house up, and I'll come home hot and I'll be like, oh my God.
I'm also hot natured, so and
well, you know how it feels.
Yeah,
and she's trying to save money. I'm all about comfort. And
I like to joke that Kylie and I often dress like we're in different climates, like because she gets cold very easily, and I get it. Yeah. So I hate being really cold too. That sucks. But
right.
Yeah, when you're hot, there's almost like an anxiety that comes with
Well, you
it.
feel like you're going to kill somebody.
Yeah,
I mean, really, you really do. You do. You
Yeah,
do.
that's true. Yeah.
Your temper
You're like-
and the impatience, and so we know how that feels, and therefore that heat becoming a character.
That's a good point.
It's causing us to feel a certain way, just like an actor would.
That's a great point.
But the whole the structure of the movie is so simple, but there's so many emotional layers.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go back to my notes here.
No,
And did you notice that also? It's a little bit like a chess match. I haven't played much chess, but every bit of evidence, everything's examined, reframed, you can almost
like the positioning of them across the. That's cool.
Right. And I forgot to mention in my scene stealer also. See, I'm not following a script. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
The when Henry Fonda slams the knife, and you said, did you say this already, or did we talk about
People
this?
didn't
before?
know that it was happening.
I
already mentioned that.
Yeah, and it's so shocking and brilliant. It's kind of a scene stealer. Like you don't have to be an actor to be a scene stealer.
When I saw you bring in this cool poster from your database of cool posters that I can't find somewhere,
I'll tell you how I found it.
Well, when I saw that, I just went. I imagined the boom, on the table.
Yeah.
So it's one of the first things you think about.
Yep.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so then we talked about Casting Swap already. Double feature. What's a good movie that you'd pair with this one to
Gregory
watch?
Peck, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Are there any mockingbirds in this courtroom?
Sidney Lumet did a 1982 movie called The Verdict.
Okay.
And it's
from the same director?
It's another courtroom.
That's cool.
Powerhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
1959 Anatomy of a Murder.
Okay.
Heard of that one?
Never heard of that one either.
Yep. Those are my two choices.
Good picks.
And you should have, if you're going to have dinner movie, you should have a hoagie sandwich.
Ooh.
And,
Yeah, like a courtroom dinner or
and,
lunch.
And a soda with a paper straw.
I got a paper straw right here.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I picked a different director that we've watched before, but we didn't watch this movie specifically. Rope by Alfred Hitchcock with Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this has got a lot of Hitchcock stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
But Rope is that same, like, you have this gradual building tension.
Yep.
It's I won't spoil it, but it's so good.
Yeah. There's a lot of close, calculated stuff in this movie, just like Hitchcock.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
You're
good.
brilliant, son. You're brilliant.
Hey, so are you. I'm from you. So, yeah. Okay, cool. Final takeaway. Don't be racist. Don't be mean. No, I'm kidding. I kind of thought this was my takeaway, right?
Mm-hmm.
That people thought, or at least like studios didn't want to finance this movie because they thought audiences would be bored by it. And I kind of put that good art is often very simple on the surface, right? And that simplicity, you can turn that into something very complex when you're making it. And I think that if you are a creator in any form, like painting, music, whatever, if you look into the small things and the minutia, like people talking in a courtroom, often those small things and small ideas can open up into like this infinite like degree of topics and ideas and this connects to this and all that stuff.
Right.
It's when you look into that, these small little like Reginald Rose was like, this courtroom thing could really be like a drama where these jurors are deliberating.
Yeah.
So that's my takeaway. Is I was like, it seems like such a simple movie that is so complex and layered when you really look into it. So I thought it was great.
Yeah. I still look at a lot of the little nuances in the movie that with my takeaways. I felt like this ensemble felt like a group of real New Yorkers.
Yeah.
I liked how all the dialogue overlaps a lot of times when they're just like in real life.
Yeah.
I love the storm and how it came about when it was like an emotional. It symbolized the emotional release of the group.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
We talked about the camera moving up and down, which I hadn't really noticed, but I'm like, now
I didn't either until I read that.
Yeah.
That's why it's so brilliant.
I'm just very, very aware of the brilliance of the movie. It's a masterpiece because it feels almost like it's real time. Nothing's wasted in the movie. And it just lends all of that lends itself to, really being so important, where we really pay attention to it, because it's really about responsibility. The whole movie is about civic, moral, personal responsibility, all of it. It reminds us also about justice not really depending on perfection, I guess, but justice depends on all of us being a participation.
Yeah, right.
Justice is about all of us participating and discussing. That's just like, when you say that, we're worried how the audience can take it. I don't give two craps about how audiences are going to take anything anymore, or even things that I say, because everybody's going to be offended about something. Sheesh. We got to stand up and say, you know what? But I do think it's important, just like these movies that we've talked about that have been offensive to people. Okay, yes, but they're important in the grand scheme of things, and they're important in cinematic history, and you need to talk about them. Talk to your kids. Like, if you guys watch something that I thought wasn't, like everybody wanted to throw a fit about Harry Potter, but I thought Harry Potter was brilliant. I thought the books were brilliant. I thought the movies were brilliant. And so I talked to you guys about it. I'm like, there are people who really think they're witches, and stuff. And I wanted you guys to know that
if you grew up in small town church America, essentially. Yeah. Harry Potter was like people did not want to, and I'm not
I guess they thought you guys were going to levitate each other and conjure up something on the stove or something. I don't know. But
no, because you read Harry Potter with us, and I thought it was really cool.
I read it, and it was just brilliant. I mean, it was wonderful, but it was dark, and you need to talk about it. So I said to you guys, there are people who really think they're witches. This is about fantasy. This is about, but there are people who worship the devil, and we need to talk about that stuff, and you got to discuss it with, you got to discuss it with your kids and discuss it with audiences. And if you're offended by something, good, because you're watching something that you need to examine and talk about. Just like these guys in this courtroom, if you're watching something that offends you, look at it from all angles. Why does it offend you?
Yeah,
because it's probably something personal.
Yeah, and
then look at why other people might not be offended, and don't hate them because they're not offended. I don't know. I go
no, it's
soapbox.
I think it's good to not block something off if it's immediately offensive to you.
Yeah.
I think that's a feeling that you should explore. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. Sometimes there's stuff wrong with the offensive material. Of course. Yeah. That's obviously. Yeah. But I think that's a good thing to be comfortable being uncomfortable, exploring stuff that's offensive to you.
Definitely.
But yeah.
Well, something also occurred to me before we go. A lot of times, if Mom and I were watching a movie, or just me, and Mom is sometimes like this too. Oh, is this movie black and white? You guys would walk in sometimes and go, "Oh no, black and white." You definitely did not want to watch it with me when you were younger.
Yeah.
And so if you think black and white movies are slow and boring, watch this.
You're really telling people today.
I don't care if you're offended. No. I mean, seriously, black and white. I think people stick their nose up with black and white movies. Yeah. This is a fast pace. It's not slow.
Well, you have like two camps, and it seems like we just need to accept, you either have people who think that they're better than everybody else because they watch black and white movies because they're somehow more superior, and then because of people like that, no, I'm kidding. Because of people like that, I think everyone goes oh, the black and white movies are these slow, boring, everyone, and it's no, there's really good movies that we've watched in black and white. So I don't know.
Yeah, but it's just.
But there are really boring black and white movies.
I know, but there are boring color movies. Like what?
No, I was gonna say some of the silent films
something that
we watched were crazy, long.
But we had to watch them.
Yeah, of course.
But this movie, my final take is masterclass in tension, masterclass in performances, masterclass in storytelling. You must watch it. It needs to be on your essential list.
Totally.
And I'm glad somebody recommended it. Yeah, because we probably
more than one. We had a few people.
We would have eventually watched it, I think. But
yeah, totally.
I'm glad to see it's still on people's list. You know, so
if I had to recommend this to someone, I would say not only is this one of the greatest movies of all time, I would say that it's probably the greatest movie that was pretty much shot in one room. I can't think of any movie that would I would consider above this one. It's really good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for discussing with us, guys. We went a little long because we love this movie, and
we talked about theater too much.
Well, and for those of you who recommended this one, maybe you like that we went a little longer. But want to talk about next week. So I mentioned this at the beginning, but next week we are starting my favorites for March. So
my favorite March.
My favorites.
That's it. What did you say before?
I said that.
Oh, okay.
My favorites March.
Mine was just more.
M.
Mine was just more clever.
Yours was February favorites.
Let's see.
It's the same thing.
Alliteration.
I tried to do that. I tried.
My son's favorite March. Yeah. Nah, I
They're
don't.
still just an M.
They're Riley's favorite movies that I'm forced to watch in March.
These are worse. These are getting worse.
No.
So yeah, if you haven't watched the February movies yet, like go back and watch those because the theme of this is not my favorite movies of all time. It's not Dad's favorites of all time. It's just some of his favorites that he would like me to see that I haven't seen.
That he's never seen.
So and I'm doing the same return. These are some favorites, some recent ones that I've watched that he hasn't seen yet. And so for next week, we're doing a one that actually came out last year. The new Knives Out movie. We're gonna cover Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. It's the official title.
Yep.
But as of this recording, you can find it on Netflix if you've got that.
We watched it. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited for that one. But yeah, we're gonna start that series next week. The next 4 movies for the rest of March are going to be my favorites that you haven't seen yet, and we'll announce a few of those in a minute. So actually, no, we announced them at the end of the last episode.
Did we?
Because, no, we didn't because I forgot to.
Okay.
So, and I mentioned because I forgot to pick them.
Yeah.
At the end of the last episode, so I was like, I'll flash them real quick or something
gotcha.
like that. So you guys already know.
We need a director over in the corner.
We need somebody. we need to have the support.
Cue card guy.
We need to have the support to be able to pay someone to like direct us essentially. But
could you just send us money?
Just give us money. Yeah, do that point. Don't. This is free. If you're watching, we appreciate that so much.
But we do like money.
But stop. Literally, if everyone's gonna like turn it, they're gonna like, okay, these guys are just asking for a payout.
They're out.
But down below, like, subscribe, share this with your friends if you liked it. Like we said before, I've had people message me privately, be like, hey, I would love if you did this movie. It really helps our videos get more traction if you just commented on the video itself.
Yep.
You can obviously, you can message me privately if you want to. That's totally fine. You don't have to comment anything, but regardless, we love when people recommend us movies. We want to like play to what you guys want to see. So don't shy away from doing that. We might not watch everything you recommend, but couldn't hurt. So, but yeah, if you liked it, if you liked this, like it below, subscribe, share, all that stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's it.
We're done.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Dad.
Thank you, son. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.